I'm on a rampage today. I am angry and I am ready to just start slapping people on the backside of their heads. No, I'm not really angry. I'm more just like, come on. Just come on. That kind of feeling, you know. Today I'm going to go on a little rant about streaming services. Now, before I continue, I want to just tell you a quick little story about technology and how the media has changed, and that I have embraced it all, including streaming services. But I see a big problem happening, and I wonder how many other people feel the same way. So, first of all, when I was a kid, my family was behind. You know, I didn't know cable TV existed. I didn't know the microwave existed. I didn't know the dishwasher existed. I didn't even know the VCR existed. Hell, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a remote control. Well, finally we got cable TV. And it was fantastic. Now, before cable TV, we had this giant antenna on top of the house. And, you know, sometimes the signal wouldn't come through. If it was raining, it would get staticky. If it was lightning, you'd see, like, flashes on your TV screen. And we always had to worry about the antenna getting hit by lightning or a windstorm knocking it off. It was always a problem. When there were, like, big storms, tree branches would get stuck in it, and my father would be up on the roof having to clean it out and fix it. He was always up there. So cable was so much better. Not only did you get more channels, but we had HBO. And I got to watch movies like Star Wars for the first time. And I would watch it every time it was on. And then we had the Disney Channel, a channel dedicated just for Disney. And it was cool. We got to watch all these cartoons, and we watched it all the time. We loved it. The other thing, too, is that before we had cable, I was the remote control. We'd have to sit in front of the TV screen with our hand on a dial, and that's how our parents would channel surf. And then whenever they found something they wanted to watch, they'd just say stop, and we'd stop. If the volume had to be changed, we would have to go up to that TV and change that volume. But now with cable, it came with this big brown box, and it was connected by a wire, and there were buttons. So we didn't have to go through a dial. You know, if you had to go from channel 1 to 10, you didn't have to go all through. You could just click it, whatever channel you wanted. Oh, it was great. It was great. Of course, if I had known about how cool the remote control was, then the box, to me, would have been like, why do we have this thing? Anyways, so eventually we did get a TV that came with a remote control, and we didn't need that box anymore, and that was even more fascinating. In the meanwhile, we got a VCR, and that was awesome. You could watch videos whenever you wanted. You could own the movie. There were video stores, which became like my favorite place. And then when I started mowing lawns, I started to buy my own movies and develop my own collection, and it was great. Awesome. I was happy with how technology had been evolving. Then they started talking about the laser disc. And the laser disc was far better than the VHS video. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. I want it. And while I was waiting to have the money to be able to buy one because they were so expensive, there was the satellite. Now, the satellite was not like what we have now on the top of our roofs. The satellite was this big, enormous, giant, outer space-sized satellite in your backyard. And it was able to pick up signals from all over the world. Pretty much every TV channel would come through. And this was before things were being sent by digital. So television and all that were coming through the airwaves, just television waves. And this thing would pick them all up. And I don't even think you had a cable bill. I think it was basically picking it all up for free. So you were getting all of these great channels for free. But the satellite dish cost like $2 billion and only 4 people had them. And then DirecTV came along and they offered this smaller satellite dish that went up on your roof. Now, the cool thing about them was that they were cheaper than cable. And if something went wrong, like a storm, an accident, a pole got knocked out, you still had your service. Unlike cable where you would lose it. So that was cool. And the quality was a little better than cable. Great. This is awesome. Now, I'm like 21 and I buy my first laser disc. I buy my laser disc, I get the player, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this is so cool. Look how clear it is. The sound was remarkable. Surround sound. I didn't have surround sound on VHS. Oh, this is great. But then there was one thing I hated. the movie would be split on side A and side B, so I would have to flip over to watch the rest of it. That I hated. I really hated that. But soon after I got the Laserdisc player, they announced the DVD. And that's when I had one of these, oh, come on moments. Like, I just got this thing, and now you're offering something better? And the thing is that the DVD was going to be far cheaper. Like, Laserdisc cost like $60 to $80, sometimes even more. Like a collector's edition, that would be like $100. They were really expensive. But they were saying that DVDs were going to be cheaper. So I was like, well, this is it. This is better. And the movie was going to be on one side. So I was like, well, this is the way to go. I have to stop buying Laserdiscs. This is it. And so that's what I did. I sold all my Laserdiscs in one shot. Someone came and bought them all, and I went with all the money. It was like $350. I went to Walmart, and I bought $350 worth of DVDs. And it was a great day. And the DVDs were awesome, and I'm like, you can't beat this technology. There's no way. This is fantastic. Look how clear it is. Look how crisp. The sound is perfect. Oh, these are awesome. These are here to stay. Yeah. So anyways, video stores, which was, like I said, my favorite place, started switching from VHS rentals to DVD. Now, they held both of them, but you can tell that DVDs were becoming more popular because there were less VHS. And then came Netflix, a service where you could rent movies online. Just go right to their virtual video store and rent movies, put them in your cart, they send them to your house, you watch them for 3 days, and then you send them back in the mail. How awesome. So I signed up right away. I was probably one of the early signups of Netflix when they first started. And it was great. I loved it. Now comes the Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray blew DVDs out of the water. So I was wrong. That DVD wasn't the best. Blu-ray was. Beautiful high-definition footage. Even now, like a Blu-ray can handle 4K, and that looks great. So that's awesome technology. Now, around the time the Blu-ray was being introduced is when Netflix started talking about offering a streaming service. But at that time, I don't even think there were a lot of smart TVs yet. And Netflix, I don't think, was even intended for television. It was basically an online service, a way for you to watch movies on your computer and watch them if you were traveling or whatever. And at this point in time, technology started to kind of advance rapidly. I mean, smart TVs became popular. Blu-ray players were offering streaming options, so you could get apps like Netflix right through your Blu-ray player. Then there was Roku, and then Apple TV, and Amazon Fire Stick. So all these different options started popping up that allowed you to stream something like Netflix right on your TV. So I got this. I got the technology. I was embracing all of it. I didn't see any issues with this. And eventually, I got Netflix about 5 years ago, actually, so it wasn't that long ago. And I thought it was great, but I loved House of Cards. And the thing was, is that when watching House of Cards, I was like, this is like watching a movie. The quality of how they're doing a television show, I didn't know what to expect from Netflix. I was stunned at how good it was. And that's what we all know from Netflix, that the content that they offer is superb. It's beautiful quality, it's shot well, the acting is good, it is just superb stuff. I mean, they really have a good taste for movies and television. They know what they're doing. But then there was Amazon Prime. Then there's Hulu. So at this time now, when you had Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, I think those are the big ones. And I think like HBO had their own app, and Showtime had an app where you could pay a certain fee and be able to get HBO content, you know, without having to go sign up for cable just to see HBO and all that. So what was happening now is that people were embracing all of this because they thought, I could cut the cord from cable. And so we called it cord cutters. You know, I don't need to go pay all this money for cable, which is a lot of money, for 2,000 channels when I only watch like 10. This is the way to go. This is better. I can get all of my stuff right through the internet. I embraced this. I saw the benefit of this. But then you had stuff like Sling TV. Now, Sling TV was offering cable channels, Once that happened, I knew, okay, it's just a matter of time before this improves. But when Sling TV first started, they didn't really have a lot, but they had some great choices, but there was no like live TV or any of that, no local channels. So in my mind, I thought, if they get to the point where they start offering all the local channels, and I'm able to get like ABC, NBC, Fox, and able to get all the cable channels I watch, which again are only like 10, I'll do this. I will drop cable and do this because I won't need cable. Then things started to happen. And things started making me go, oh, come on. There started to be more streaming services and more and more and more. We started to get Apple TV, the streaming service. And Hulu actually had 2 different Hulus. There was Hulu and then Hulu Plus. And then HBO Max came along, and Disney Plus came along, and Quibi, or Quibu, whatever the hell it's called. All these streaming services, NBC Peacock, they all just started popping up. And at first you hear that and you're like, I'm not going to sign up for that. But then we all find out, as those of us who have Netflix find out, oh, they're going to be pulling The Office off of Netflix. They're going to be pulling Friends off of Netflix. All the Marvel shows that are on Netflix are going to be canceled. All the Marvel content that's on Netflix is going to be pulled so that it could be exclusively on Marvel's streaming service. And then Disney did the same thing. They're going to pull all their stuff off of all the streaming apps and make it exclusive to their own app or their own streaming service. So now all this content you might watch, you'd have to go to these other places to get it. Is it NBC Peacock is the one pulling The Office? The Netflix's #1 most popular show. It's not even a Netflix produced show. It was an NBC show, but it is so popular on Netflix, it's like the most watched thing on there. And it's going to be pulled. So now if you're a Netflix user, you're losing all of this content, and the only content that Netflix is going to offer is their own. Like, where does this end? You know, the whole point here was for cord cutting. They all presented themselves as that. Cut the cord, sign up for Netflix. Cut the cord, come to Netflix. Cut the cord, Apple TV. I think we were all fine when we saw that we could have something like YouTube TV or Sling TV, or even DirecTV had their own version, which I think is still around. I think eventually DirecTV probably will only offer their streaming service and no longer offer satellite. We'll see how that goes. But the fact is you had a choice in a streaming service that featured all the cable channels you watch. Then you could go get Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu. And that's really all you needed. But now you've got all these other streaming services. There's just so much of it. And it's going to defeat the purpose of streaming. As a matter of fact, think about it this way, and I know people like this. I know a lot of people like this. Okay, I've got cable TV, because I like sports, and this is the only place I can get live sports. But, you know, Apple TV has a lot of shows I like, so I'm going to keep Apple TV. Oh, I really like Star Wars, so I'm going to get Disney Plus. I'm a big fan of Netflix. I've had Netflix for all these years, so there's no way I'm dumping them. And I have Amazon Prime for the free shipping, but also they have the TV service, too. And Hulu, I don't have time to watch TV shows when they're on TV, and I don't want to bother with the DVR, so I'll get Hulu and have Hulu Plus there, so we got that. And oh, you know what, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I'm going to get Marvel, and the kids would love Disney, so I'm going to get Disney for the kids. Before you know it, you've got like 10,000 streaming services, and your bill is like, what, $1,000? You probably don't even realize, it probably didn't even catch up to you. Maybe you didn't even do the math of how much this is costing you now. It's like way more than cable. So where did you cut the cord? How did you save? By having all of these streaming services now, they're making it more difficult for us and adding all this stuff. Now here's the thing. Yes, we all have choices. You can choose not to sign up. But they're making it more difficult if you're a person who's a big fan of entertainment. If you're someone who's a big Tom Hanks fan. Now, in order to see Tom Hanks' newest movie, you have to have Apple Plus. If you're a big Steve Carell fan, Steve Carell has exclusive content on like all the different apps. The Office is going to only be on Peacock. He has a TV series on Apple Plus, and he has a TV series on Netflix. Jennifer Aniston is everywhere. She has exclusive content on Netflix, exclusive content on Amazon, exclusive content on Apple TV. And then with Friends being moved exclusively to, I think they're going to NBC Peacock as well, you would need to see Friends there. So the only way to see this stuff would be through all of these different apps, these different streaming services. And meanwhile, your bill is going through the frickin' roof. I also heard a rumor that Quibi is not doing all that well. Even though the content's good, I heard that Anna Kendrick's little series is doing really well, or really popular, and it's done really well, but a lot of people aren't signing up for the service. Like, how much do we need? When does it end? And you definitely can't be a fan of someone anymore. Like I said, if you're a fan of Jennifer Aniston, you need to get all these different apps now to see all of her exclusive content. Otherwise, there's a lot of stuff she did you just can't see. It's getting to the point of when it's like, when is enough enough? When is this going to stop? Are we just going to keep doing this? Eventually, there's going to be only the Star Wars streaming service, only the Office streaming service, only the horror streaming service, and it's all exclusive, and only this, you can only get this stuff here. And it's just going to be all these different services with everything separated. Then we get to the point where every single cable channel becomes a service. The travel channel is a service. So to get the travel channel, you have to get the service. To get True TV, you have to get the service. It'll be individual things. There's always too much of a good thing. And that's what's happening. It's too much of a good thing. And it's going to get out of control. And it's starting to. So that's my little rant. And we will see you again. Thanks for watching. Are you a fan of all things paranormal? Well, check out my brand new website called ParanormalAliens.com, featuring things of a darker nature on all sorts of really cool products. You could get wall clocks, mugs, t-shirts, all kinds of wonderful things. Just go to ParanormalAliens.com and check it out, and also know that many of the items there actually ship for free. I ship worldwide, so check it out today, ParanormalAliens.com. We'll see you there, ParanormalAliens.com.